to start by saying thank you. We appreciate you placing your confidence in us and setting aside some of your valuable time to watch and listen to these videos. Hi, I'm Shell Fitzpatrick, Seashell Realty Group, and Shell Shots Photography. That's right, I'm wearing two hats today, and I'll be speaking to you as your realtor and your photographer. I'm super excited, and I bet you're going to hear that passion in my voice later. The information I'm going to share with you was originally geared towards staging and preparing for a photo shoot, but it lends itself well to showings. While you're making the rounds through the house, it's a great time to prepare for an inspection and think about that required seller's disclosure and a likely subsequent appraisal, which is good and attaches to the property for 6 months, by the way. This is probably a good time to mention that you should gather any receipts for repairs and transferable warranties that you may have and set those aside for the appraisal folder and the buyer. Now today I'm going to start with inspections, and then I'm going to move to preparing for a shoot, which will essentially be the same as preparing for showings. And then as a bonus, if you're still with me, I will move into tips and tricks that I picked up through my training on staging and interior design. Inspections. The main focus is on these systems: structural, electrical, HVAC and vents, plumbing, and appliances. Now the inspector is not looking at the age or the style or how pretty they are, but that it's functioning as intended and is safe. So think safe, sound, and sanitary. Now if you have more questions about inspections, check out my video, For Your Protection, Get a Home Inspection. Now there are many specialized inspections such as pest, termite, roof, pool, septic, lead, mold, but my focus today is going to be preparing for a general residential real estate inspection. Let's start by making sure that all systems are accessible, as the inspector will not move personal items in order to access the systems for inspection. The inspector will mark items as inspected, not present, or deficient. Our goal is either not present, as in you don't have it, or inspected, as in it was inspected and there were no issues. We want to avoid not inspected, as in they were not able to access it, or deficient, as in they were able to access it but there was a problem found, and they will note the problem with a photograph. The inspector marks the systems as a whole, so if you have 20 windows but one doesn't lock, then the window systems will be marked as deficient. And no deficiencies will go unnoted. If an inspector fails to note a deficiency, it could come back on that inspector as a liability. So the inspector is going to be painfully thorough. The most common repairs and replacements that a buyer and seller negotiate are for the big ticket items and safety items. I suggest a pre-listing inspection to sellers to reduce those surprises later on when you get an offer, and those surprises can give the buyer a negotiation leverage. Let's just take it away. It's a good idea to start with cleaning. Yes, clean it, and if it's broken, fix it. Now you can perform DIY repairs prior to listing, but afterwards any lender-required repairs must be done by a licensed professional. Any damage paid out as an insurance claim will show up in a clue report, so be sure those are done and disclosed. Take time to thoroughly clean, replace, and repair broken items, and that shows that you're a serious seller. And this will give you a strategic advantage on the market. Now, I'm not an inspector or an appraiser, but I've seen a few. And I'm hoping that these tips that I've picked up along the way will help prepare you for market inspection and appraisal. By the way, if you have more questions about minimum guidelines by HUD, you can just Google it. Structural systems. Structural includes foundation, framing, roofing. Attic and crawl spaces should be accessible. Exterior grading and drainage. My suggestion is to cut trees about 3 feet away from the home, shrubs about 4 to 6 inches away from the house. Make sure that water drains away from the house and ensure that downspouts extend about 18 inches away from the house. There should be no pooling. Mulch and other ground cover, it should be about 4 inches below the top of the foundation. Roof covering and attic, think a minimum of 2 years remaining life on these and other systems. We're wanting to ensure that there's no damaged or missing roofing, no hardware backing out or sealant required there. that there is sufficient insulation, and that gutters are free of debris. Walls, I cannot begin to stress the importance of a fresh coat of paint. Possible exterior, definitely interior, property depending. This is one item that I feel could realize return on investment or at a minimum result in less time on market. Fresh paint is a courtesy, one that you would expect when buying. And not only does it neutralize color, but also odors. Address wood rot, chipping, peeling paint, disclose lead-based paint, and repair any holes. Ceilings and floors, they're going to be looking for things like signs of water leaks, pet damage, mold, sagging, holes, missing pieces, cracks, buckling, that beyond normal wear and tear. And of course, signs of foundation shift. I encourage pest control prior to listings. Doors, make sure they have proper locks and that the key works from the exterior, not the interior. And try to remedy any creaking or sticking. Windows, let's make sure they're not broken, that the locking mechanisms function, that the windows open and close, and ideally rescreened if the screens are damaged. The stairway, we want to make sure that there are no loose risers or treads and that we have graspable rails. It's sturdy and that the balusters are no more than about 4 inches apart. Fireplaces, they're looking for signs of leaks. They want to make sure they're clean, and this is probably a good time to have a chimney sweep come out. We want to make sure that that flue is functioning. Porches, balconies, decks, hopefully those were built to code. We're looking for signs of rot, pest damage, exposed nails or screw heads, proper rails, and that the balusters are safe. We just want to make sure that they're sturdy and there's no wood rot. Electrical. Make sure the breaker panel is accessible. You're often going to see them require GFCI outlets anywhere near water, so kitchens, baths, laundry rooms, and any exterior outlets should have covers. Make sure that any fixtures or outlets are caulked where appropriate. Make sure that the lights and the fixtures are working. And here's my opportunity to say that if you're replacing light bulbs, aim for 2700 white Kelvin and that they're all matching. Your photographer will thank you. Heating and air conditioning, clean those vents, replace those filters, and if you have an annual service contract, have them come out for the seasonal cleaning. Plumbing, water should flow in and out efficiently. Hot and cold should function, no leaks, no signs of damaged fixtures, caulk or seal where appropriate, especially in those bathtubs and showers. The water heater, consider flushing it. It should heat to a proper temperature efficiently but not be scalding. Appliances, clean them. Clean the vents, replace the lights, and even clean the refrigerator. Now, as you recall, fixtures, anything glued, screwed, nailed, or otherwise built in, convey along with their accessories. The fridge isn't one of them, and although I'm sure you're taking it with you, trust me, buyers are going to look in there and see how you keep house. And they're going to pass judgment. Make sure they're all functioning. The inspector sure will. Garage door, if it's electric, it should open, close, and stop if it hits something. That's called reverse resistance. Also make sure it has a locking mechanism. Dryers, be sure and blow those exhaust vents out. This is a great time to consider a home protection plan, and you guessed it, I have a video on that too. Insurance covers the structure, but the warranty covers things that insurance does not. And some plans cover rekey service, which is an incentive to a buyer, and they may cover the seller while the property is listed and possibly the payment could be deferred to closing. As always, on the seller's disclosure, we're going to be honest, and everything that's disclosed or discovered in the inspection will be attached to the seller's disclosure. But with a little bit of elbow grease, it's a great return on investment and yields a seller's disclosure you can be proud of.